Can the city's music scene be revived?
I have zero faith in our authorities because they do not support the arts.
Northeast is one place where the CM plays his guitar on the stage and performs.
30% of mall venue in England closed last year with government support.
The IT boom was in.
Yeah.
Being a musician didn't make any sense in Bangalore at that time.
You know how many people left their different states and came to Bangalore to live because music showed such a promising future for them.
Anytime anyone came to Bangalore and was like, what should we do? I was like, oh, I've got a place, let's go to bFlat. It's just such a simple conversation.
How can Bangalore rebuild its music scene? When Bangaloreans talk about music, it's always with a touch of nostalgia, what this city used to be. This was a special place where global artists, bands, musicians performed and people from all over the country came to experience it. This was a city with a pub, club and a music scene that was infectious as well as aspirational. Something changed in the last 15-20 years. Something that broke about the city. Venues shut down, clubs closed, and things went south. What went wrong? Can the city's music scene be revived? That's what we are going to talk about today. And for that, we've got a very fantastic set of three guests. People who've experienced the past, the peak, have gone through this trough, right? So we've got Nikhil Barwa, who's just sort of reopened Humming Tree after it shut down in 2019, right?
Yep.
We've got Aarti Rao, a musician herself, and she sort of started a music venue, bFlat, and which also shut down in 2019. And then we've got Roshan Natalkar, founder, director of Echoes of Earth, a music festival that brings art, culture, music, and sustainability together in a world which is increasingly conscious about sustainability. And we are going to dive everything into music. But before that, maybe a quick round of introduction that I want you guys to do for each other. Maybe Roshan, you want to introduce Nikhil to us?
Sure. Humming Tree was just 30 meters from my office as it started. I think especially in the earlier days when it kicked off, I think it was a very culture cool community space where we saw one of the most unique performances I think the country has ever seen, all showcased at Humming Tree. At the same time, while he kind of held the whole community together, what was great was, I think, the kind of cocktails and the food, kind of a 360 around how a fantastic venue should ideally be. And I think it went on for a great time, and while it lasted, it was one of the most favorite venues for the country or the city, for example.
He's very kind, he's very...
No.
Our cocktails in the old place wasn't that great. But
Aarti, you want to sort of do the introduction for Nikhil. I would love to hear you talk about Nikhil.
The loveliest thing about knowing Nick and having been associated with him for so long is that he, when I first knew him, was just a lover and patron of music.
Yeah.
And he would come to our venue just like anyone else. Come, enjoy the music and go home.
Yeah.
And then coming to bFlat, consistently got him inspired to open his own space. And
what did you think about Humming Tree? Was it a
I loved
competition
it.
for bFlat?
It wasn't at all, because what Nikhil did was he just opened out a wider demographic. It was the most beautiful thing that happened.
Tell me one thing that stood out for Humming Tree then.
Then
Yeah.
that he grabbed the youth
Yeah.
immediately. It was an overnight thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
He was
also-
younger,
Yeah.
so the way he thought and the way his vision was different. It was a completely different perspective from ours.
I've also been told his passion overcame everything, right? He's a very passionate guy for music. And I think he went back and beyond to make it happen.
Yeah, but I think, something like this, you can only do
if you're
with
passionate.
Sure.
the passion firing you up, isn't it? Nikhil, you want to introduce
Mr.
Roshan and
Mr.
then
Aarti.
Aarti.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Roshan's a legend. I mean, like, I think what
I want you to describe
what he's
go
I mean,
granular.
long before Hanumankind started, also we heard whispers of Roshan and Swordfish and what they're doing and stuff. So I've always known about him from that capacity, just hearing about people talk about what they're doing. And I think the real testament for me when I felt more connected to Swordfish was when they started Echoes, and seeing how he did that, which is basically the same way we started small venues. He started a festival in that same ethos of just saying, we're going to only program the artists that we want to program, not because it makes commercial sense, not because we think we're doing something. These are the artists that this country needs to see.
Arti, you said your daughter goes to Echoes of Earth. Introduce Roshan and Echoes of Earth.
So we are meeting for the first time today,
yes.
but of course I've heard about the festival for years now. It's my daughter's absolute favorite festival. I'm going to just go from what Nikhil said and what has been described to me, and also what I've read about the festival. It is honesty and purer. The consciousness towards our environment and eco-sensitivity. The art installations that he has all over the festival as a reminder of what we are doing to our earth, and from all of the destruction, what can we do to make it beautiful again, is something that runs through the entire vein of this festival.
Okay. Maybe just
Of the
to
country.
Of the country too.
close the round of introduction, Arti, please introduce and please tell us a bit about bFlat,
I mean,
a venue that shut down and what Arti did with it, and maybe Roshan,
Yeah.
you after that. Go ahead.
yeah, I think Kati is the reason why I started the venue for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, like, I coming back to Bangalore after college and stuff, and then having some inkling of music and maybe wanting to be part of it, but no idea how to do it. And I think when I came back, most of my friends were still in that, which is understandable, stage of going to bars and clubs and stuff. And I felt very quickly very alien to all of that. That wasn't me. And I think having a space like bFlat where someone like I could go and just listen to a gig in a space which is, again, the same thing, just good music in an honest setting, was fundamental to so many people. And that, like, she literally built Indian Bangalore's live music scene here. So I think if I didn't, like, and long before I even thought about opening a venue, but if I didn't have those 4 or 5 years of going to bFlat before, and like anytime anyone came to Bangalore and was like, what should we do? I was like, oh, I've got a place, let's go to bFlat. It's just such a simple conversation.
I think it was ahead of its time for Bangalore.
Yeah.
What I meant was, when we chose artists for Echoes, correct, we used to actually judge them if they played with you. And,
Oh, wow.
Yes. and that was the benchmark to a large effect for a lot of artists to be able to have played with you. And I think that says it all for us, at least with Echoes. He has performed at bFlat. We could see videos, we could see content, we could choose these artists. And I think there was no other place like bFlat existed at that point in time. Kudos.
Appreciate it.
Do we want to go back to that era, that magical era that Bangalore's music scene was fantastic? Everybody was raving about it, early 2000s, late 90s, whichever the era was for you guys growing up. And what this place was about, the clubs, the pubs, the music scene, maybe a bit of nostalgia. Can we go back? You want to go first, Arti?
Yeah, well, I moved to Bangalore in January 91. And that is when the whole pub culture had exploded. In the late 80s is actually when the pubs started opening,
And
right?
you moved
So
from which city?
I moved from Bombay.
Okay.
I'd never seen anything like it.
Explain that. Describe
There
that
was
to
no
us.
such thing as pubs in Bombay.
Yeah.
And the pubs in Bangalore were 2 or 3 years old, as at best.
Okay.
But they were everywhere. And they were like in the most beautiful areas of town. And each one was done up so beautifully. I remember Residency Road and Pub World. And everybody said, this has got the old Bangalore vibe. And beer on tap, imagine that. These are all things that only heard about outside our country, never in. So I really thought that Bangalore was literally the most advanced place, that they could even think of things like that. There
And
was
this
a
is somebody
proper pub
coming from
culture.
Bombay talking
Yep.
about it,
Yes,
huh?
absolutely.
That's interesting. Roshan, do you remember?
Yeah. I think I moved in 2094. Yeah.
Come again?
In 94.
1994.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
1994.
2000.
I'm just trying to.
Now we know why Echoes work so well. He's a time traveler.
And straight out of
where were you moving
school,
from?
Karwar.
Okay.
You know, back in Karwar, of course, it's a border town, so there was hardly any regional influence per se. So we all listened to great Western music as we grew up, and came to Bangalore in college.
You came as a student.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. As a student, of course, you know, it was amazing that all these pop cultures which we spoke about had different nuances to it, right? Like on a Tuesday, you used to go to a strike to hear some heavy death metal. On a Wednesday, you do a hip hop night in a Sellers. And then on a Friday, you used to do a time and again, which was commercial music. And on a Saturday, you used to go to the club again. So the diversity of music, and I think it was a very intentional community. I mean, to say, you used to meet the same guys over and over again. And I think we also had a great student community at that point in time. And most of those guys made what Bangalore it was. It was quite strong in terms of what it represented. It was very cosmopolitan at this point in time. And I mean to say, you go to Bombay, there was always a regional influence of Bollywood. You go to Delhi, there was Punjabi, which was a regional influence. Bangalore was completely cosmopolitan. I think that's what was the edge towards everything, right? And then, of course, to add up with the great pop culture we had, and we were always on. And there was a huge underground scene as well, which people don't usually discuss. But
Can you describe that to us? What was the underground scene?
So there were these parties which were called as the red tape parties.
Okay.
Correct.
Where would it happen?
You get onto Mysore Road, nobody knows where they're happening. And you follow these neon strips which have been pasted on trees, and you keep exploring and exploring, and you land up at this beautiful scenic place. It could be a lake, it could be one of those things. The underground scene was huge in the early 2000s.
And who were the organizers? Who would do all this?
So, of course, there was this legendary place called The Club.
Yeah.
You know,
Mysore Road.
Mysore Road. And the gentleman called Nasir Bhai, while the club got commercial, he wanted to still host a set of people aside, away from his main venue. And those are the parties which we used to actually chase. They were called red radium parties, green radium parties. So basically the radium stickers which you chase all the
I
time.
never went for those. I used to go to the club though.
Nikhil, do you remember those days?
Well, I mean,
you grew up here.
I did, but I missed actually I was here till the 10th, and then my 11th and 12th was in Delhi, and then I went to
You went to university.
University in Chicago. So I missed that whole teenage.
When did you
years
come
in-
back?
So I actually only came back to Bangalore probably 2008.
8.
So I missed a whole bunch of.
Yeah. What was 2008 like? And
2008.
do you remember anything from earlier era when you were a little boy?
Not at all. I mean, well, I remember the club. I remember when we were kids in school, we were like, I want to go to the club. I remember that. So all the cool kids would always go there. Everything was more polished when I came back. So the clubs were more polished, the bars were more polished. And I think even live music at some level was a bit more polished than it used to be, which is, it's a good thing. But also I feel sometimes then you lose a little bit of the heart and soul.
The rawness of it.
The rawness.
Aarti, do you want to talk about your earliest brush with music? How did this love affair with music begin for you? And
Oh,
maybe all
wow.
of you could talk about your first brush with
Yeah.
music and how has that evolved? Go ahead.
My first brush with music, because there's music's in my DNA. So my mum was trained in, as a little girl, she was trained in Carnatic music. By the time she was a teenager, she wanted to learn Hindustani music. And so we were listening to, as little girls, Carnatic music, Hindustani music, Hindi film music. There was no Bollywood term at that time. We would listen to Hindi film music. Then came television, which was still black and white. And there was a program called Chhaya Geet, which later on became Chitrahar. But then my father lived abroad. He lived in Germany, and we traveled to Europe a lot. So we were very much in touch with Western music. And every new release, my father would buy us the audio cassettes. We would listen to them at home. We had a stereo system in our bedroom, and we grew up listening to. The first thing in the morning we did was pop in whoever got to the cassette player first.
Yeah.
It was their mood of the day.
Do you
that got
remember a
popped in.
band or a musician that you guys were particularly fond of at that time? This is the 80s, 70s, 80s?
Yes, this would be the 70s, 80s. Oh my God, so many. But the Beatles was one huge, big love of ours. The Beatles, Elton John, Billy Joel, that was huge for us. And parallel to that was, by the time I was a young teenager, like say 13, 14, I started listening to modern jazz, electric jazz, jazz fusion, Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea. Then there was also this rock jazz fusion with Steely Dan and the Doobie Brothers. Very, very mixed. And there was still all the pop and the pop rock of Billy Joel, Elton John, and rock and roll with the Beatles and all of that going on as well. It was just beautiful. And living in Bombay, one got to listen to all kinds of music through friends, through older cousins, and then once I got to college, the Rang Bhavan Open Air Auditorium was right next to our college. We shared a wall.
Okay.
We saw every single concert there, every genre of music, just because there was this lovely open air space, I saw international bands that I'd never heard of, but I was there at the gig. I can tell you, I saw Wishbone Ash, I saw Uriah Heep, I saw Jethro Tull, I saw Sonny Rollins in concert thanks to the Jazz Yatra, Stan Getz, Tanya Maria. I mean, the who's who of jazz, saw them all live. So all these fabulous rock bands.
Yeah.
And I was such a kid, I'd never even heard the music. But I was there. I saw Sting, I saw the Police.
Wow.
Yeah.
Roshan, do you remember the early days? And coming from Karwar, did you come from a musical family like
No, not really. It is through some cousins who gave us some cassettes. I think Phil Collins was my first artist who I even remember singing, and then of course the AC/DCs, the Aerosmiths. I was very much a rock fan when we grew up. Right?
This is the 90s, 80s?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I came to Bangalore, every college had a band, and I was the most useless guy. I didn't know anything in terms of, I didn't know what to play. So I helped them. I became a manager.
Okay.
So the only thing I could do is fix the drums in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Right? And carry it with us. And we used to do inter-college contests, we used to go to church on Sunday. So that was my first organizing per se when it came to a music scenario. And I think with that we met multiple bands from different colleges, and I think that kind of ecosystem grew on me.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward, then you started the whole concert economy kicked in Bangalore.
This is the 90s.
Yes, and you were either working for the concert as a stage manager, or you were volunteering to
These
do
are
some.
what, global concerts you're
Yes,
talking
all the
about?
global
Do you
concerts.
remember 2-3 big ones?
Yeah, so many of them actually.
Like DNA brought
Yes,
you some amazing.
I think that was the time.
Hats off to DNA
Yeah,
for doing that.
I'm going to say Venkat did a fantastic job. Most of the, even your Elton John for that matter, or
Deep Purple.
Deep
twice.
Purple twice, when Chemical Brothers came in. I mean to say those were all great times, right? Because
And what was the venue where they performed?
they were all in Palace Grounds.
Palace Grounds.
And it was accessible, it was possible to do it, and I think Bangalore had one of the most amazing times. That era was ideally our golden era.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
think Bangalore still continues to drive that cosmopolitan vibe across when it comes to these nostalgic musicians and stuff like that.
On point. Who's in denial are the authorities.
Yeah.
The powers that
We'll
be.
talk about it. We'll talk about it. Absolutely.
No, I think they're great. They're
Oh,
absolutely,
really?
they're absolutely fine. There's no issues with them at all.
Absolutely. You can't
You
disagree.
can't say anything. Why?
You talk about, Nikhil, how your first brush with music, and do you come from a musical
Not at all.
family?
I give my parents so much grief for this.
Yeah,
And
so
absolutely,
talk a little about that, because I think a lot of parents think their kid is doing music and that's just the side hustle. And
I think, I mean, my parents, they traditional, they liked the normal stuff, Elvis and Beatles and all, but they wasn't a musical family. So growing up, I didn't have these records being played around the house and getting it. I remember till I was very shamefully until I was 14, I had a mixtape with Peter Andre, Beautiful Girl.
Shame on you.
Shame.
Shame on you.
I was off my music taste until I think when in college and I started going to small venues and seeing live music, it was pretty bad. So I think that's why venues mean so much to me, because I was introduced to live music through small venues.
Okay.
And that just then gave me this whole range of artists who I could listen to, and suddenly a lot of things made more sense. You're just in a much better place. So I think for any kids, for any parents, I think just having music around the house or having that is such a vital thing. just as everything else is education and this, but just growing up in a thing where you're listening to artists and just across genres, across fields, small, big, it's such a beautiful thing to have.
It really is.
So as you guys were talking about Bangalore and the music scene in the 90s, 2000s, the golden era, Roshan, your Echoes of Earth happens in Goa, right? That's the only city outside of Bangalore?
Yeah. We did try in 2024 to do a second version in Goa. So basically what happened is we've been here for almost, this is our 10th edition right now. And at some point, numbers and scale came on the table and they're like, you need to multiply this, you know. And we were so headstrong that we didn't want to digress from the music sense of what the Echoes meant. And there was no other place we can really take this out, right? I mean to say, to the north, it might not be an easy plug for us. So Goa was the next big destination at that
North
point.
was not an easy plug because of venue, because of audience, because of what?
Because of the audience and the music taste itself.
Okay.
The Northeast, however, is very much welcoming. But for us, we still became a South festival. So
Because of the sustainability underpinnings?
no, I think from a music standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah, because as I said, we are not a headliner festival, right?
it.
It's music discovery and so on and so forth. So what happens is any of these equations take some time to build. And it has taken us almost 4-5 years even to be recognized as a music festival, because it was always confusing. Are you talking art? Are you talking sustainability? How is it possible for a music festival to be sustainable, right? and the conversations were kind of didn't give us that leeway in terms of a music festival. Like today, if you look at a music festival, it's straight up. You bring in 10 artists, you put 5 stages, you do great brand associations, and you bring them on the table. And that's how music festivals are usually perceived. For us, it was a complete new concept. And for a concept so evolved, for us to be able to plug and play, it's not possible. It is also quite deep rooted. That means there's a lot of research and science goes behind putting the festival together. So it almost takes years of research to even show up in a different location and do the festival the way we want to do it.
But also Echoes is one of the few festivals now, and I think actually quite soon. I think you said 4-5 years, but I think in the third year itself, people were just booking tickets because Echoes was back. They didn't wait for the lineup. They didn't care about anything else.
They just
That's
fell in love with the whole concept of the festival.
That is
So
huge.
what's the
Very
sell?
true.
What's the sell then? It's not the headliners.
No.
And so one thing I wanted
Trust.
to understand
Trust
is
in the
this
festival.
headliner-led festival to this, which is a far more nebulous in terms of experience, right?
Yeah.
What are the trade-offs? What are the variables that one
As
you
you
toy with?
rightly said, it's the trust from the community that it is going to be a great experience, no matter what kind of musicians come there, correct? It also became a place for music discovery. That means you probably not heard of these guys, but you show up there and then you're amazed that you're able to listen to somebody new, right? And for some reason, we were able to find these great musicians before they even blew up. And most of
What are the filters you use to vet? Can you take us through? All three of you are into curating musicians at a very early stage.
Yeah.
And let's
So
talk.
with Echoes, of course, it starts at 12. Our programming starts at 12, correct? And it goes on till 10. So more than picking up artists, we picked up the genre itself. What should these stages perform at 12 o'clock? Correct? What should the music be at 4 p.m.? How should it sound at 6 when the sun sets, right? And how the energy picks up eventually in the night. I think that was the basic science of how we programmed the entire festival.
I'm going to plug something that we've been working on. So we are thinking of kicking off busking in the city. And so busking, as you all I'm sure familiar with, is illegal in India and you can't perform. So we are working with Bangalore Metro, the authorities, to get the first busking license issued, where grassroots musicians who are just emerging, offer them a platform to perform in public spaces, like a metro station or something, and then we slowly graduate them, and we'll need all of you support and everything to make that happen and build that pipeline for the city,
No, that'd be
right?
amazing.
Otherwise, absolutely. So you tell us, what are the filters that you use to judge musicians, and is it all gut and instinct what he's talking about? For him, it's been just discovering through a set of
No,
filters.
but I'd say that his is part of it is also gut and instinct, and
Yeah.
and you know,
Of course, but
and it's curating. Curating is an art. You have to, just like curating an exhibition in an art gallery. Like, why is it that you chose those artists? You know.
do you remember what are some of the things that you used to?
Well, to begin with, I have such a varied taste in music, huge varied taste in music. So that helps. That helps. That really does help. A lot of it is instinct, your own personal, aesthetic. You may like many things, but do you have an aesthetic that counts? To this day, I listen to all kinds of music all the time. I love music. I love discovering artists. Those days,
Is there
I
an
would,
artist you are very proud to have discovered? And I want to ask all of you, musician, an artist that you look back and say, oh wow,
yeah, I think
did this.
one in common is Mahesh Raghunandan, whom we both absolutely adore.
Which was the festival we went to in
Construct.
Construct, yeah.
We were both invited to speak on some panel at this Construct festival. And there was this young chap in one corner playing his acoustic guitar. I just was mesmerized by his music. I just went up to him and I said, come and play tomorrow. And he said, what? Who are you? And I said, and I told him about bFlat. I gave him my card and I said, if you can come, I'd be delighted. He said, no, but I have to go to college or something like that, he said. So I said, listen, it'll make a huge difference to me if you come. I love your music and I promise you a good audience. Just come. And he said, I don't think I can come. I said, look, my phone number is on that. Call me. This guy missed his classes or whatever, and he called me, or whatever it is that he had to attend. He decided to come after all. And
Performed.
Mahesh showed up and he performed, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole, I think Mahesh is the best example,
Yeah.
because we literally were just sitting there watching this young guy perform and looking at each other like, wait, this is incredible. And then
Really?
giving him his first actual gigs.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But every Parvaz and all have literally played at bFlat and Humming Tree when they were kids. Sachin, the drummer, used to do all Humming Tree's graphic design work for the first
That's
2
right.
years.
Used to design our posters.
Yeah, so that's also a beautiful thing when you can, I think there's
To
that
see
old,
that person being nothing to be.
but growing
become-
together.
growing
venues
together,
also
absolutely.
grew with these artists,
Yeah. But Roshan, do you want to talk about a discovery that you are proud of when you look back?
Quite
A
many
long
of
list.
them.
Please,
Yeah.
please
So-
mention.
So very difficult to see. It's always about the artist. Echoes was just a platform,
Yes.
and invariably they showed up and they did a great job. From Indian artists, it was Prateek, Kuhad in this beginning years. It was F-16s in their years. Then I think even Hanumankind for that.
Hanumankind played his first open mic at Humming Tree.
Yeah.
He had just
Yeah.
come in from the
Exactly,
States, and this young
exactly.
kid came in. He's like, I'm gonna be a big
Yeah,
thing. We're
yeah,
like, yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, and Prateek Kuhad did his first Bangalore gig at
Yeah.
bFlat on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night.
So it's amazing how it's all interconnected, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you say today they are huge stars,
Yeah.
and not only I think the Indian artists, a lot of global artists who also will be programmed are headlining larger festivals today, from Matham to Mezak. So a lot of these artists were even brought through embassies and these exchange programs we run, and today they are
Big.
really, really big. And I think it's a pleasure to host them when we're really young, because the energy is completely different.
So, well, we spoke about the golden era of how things were so beautiful, and then something began to change for worse. What happened? And when did you begin to see it?
I saw it as far back as 2005,
Oh, wow.
actually. And I figured out only later, why that had happened. When we opened bFlat, and when it started to happen during those years, which was 2009 onward, it all fell into place for me.
What
But-
happened in 2005?
So everybody, no thanks, not for me. The general term that everybody was using was live music ban. That
in
was
2005. Okay.
And that's just the phrase that has been going around actually. But it wasn't really a live music ban. It was associated with other problems that the government was facing. Who got affected were establishments that were having, that were hosting live music, and the musicians themselves. The cause was not the music or the musicians or the establishment. It was something else that was going on that the government was trying to, put a lid over, control. Yeah. Quite plainly, there was an issue. It's happened even in Maharashtra, dance bars.
Yeah.
And the government felt that, that was sort of like a den of vice, so to speak. That is where, negative elements, criminal elements gathered. So there was a whole prostitution angle to it as
Around
well.
2005, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that we don't know who finances these dance bars. We don't know where the money is coming from. They've been around for the longest time all over our country. I mean, they're still there everywhere. There's so many of them, they're under the radar. We don't even know where they are. But they're full. And they're like roaring business. But in our city, in Bangalore, basically they were trying to target prostitution. They were trying to avoid criminal elements coming together in that place and various other things where the monies were coming from. All of that is what they were trying to. So they passed a bylaw in the Karnataka bylaws, which there was a small little bylaw that said in a place where alcohol is being served, you can't have dancing. Yeah? But the way that it was worded was by someone that didn't speak English very well, and that entire thing was referred to as live band.
This
Those
is
girls,
2005?
when they were, no, but it had been going on for a while.
this is 2005?
It surfaced in 2005 in a very
Okay.
big way.
Okay.
They were describing all of that setup, these girls dancing. Musicians were accompanying them. So this thing was called live band.
Oh.
And then that went into the bylaws. Now, once it's in the bylaws, then technically you are serving alcohol. You do have a bar license, and you have come just to listen to the music, and I am singing on stage and you are dancing. Both became wrong because there is this live band and you are dancing. So these are technicalities on which,
In 2005, how long did it go on for the no dancing thing?
Quite a long
time,
And
no?
I think after that, the timing of 10 p.m. came.
Yeah.
I think it's a network, correct? And so they were doing the rounds. Like I read somewhere that somebody blew 2 crores on one night, correct?
In the dance bar?
At the dance bar. So they used to throw money and stuff, right? And I think that kind of in Bangalore blew out. To say almost all the pubs, all the nightclubs, everything was shut. By 10 p.m., no dancing allowed. I think that kind of killed the vibe. And that's when that's one of the reasons maybe.
That's what I was referring to when I said criminal elements. It was also the people that were coming to these places. So the government was trying to deal with things at different levels.
And it just came down with a ton of.
Yeah, and so everybody got affected, no?
Yeah.
So first came the bylaws that you spoke about,
Yeah.
then the timing of it, with 10 everything shuts down, and then there was this fire and.
Yeah. Almost all the basements, you could not cook and serve food in the basement. I think that also
Yeah.
was.
And you need to have certain number of exits and all that, entries and exits.
Yeah.
I mean, this is stuff which, as a planning for a
This
city,
is-
should be 101.
Exactly.
Like when this thing happened in 2019, and one of the things was like every building should have an occupational certificate to get your music license, and I think 90% of buildings don't have it an OC in Bangalore. I mean, that's on the government to kind of like, it should be done. You should have responsible buildings, responsible owners, responsible businesses, and give a license out at the start only to the buildings that qualify it.
Yeah.
That's not on us, that's on them. Right? We should be able to pay rent and pay taxes on a building from day one.
So you're
which
saying
is
why
compa-
penalize those
Why?
who are
We were the
compliant?
soft target.
It's not, that's not our job. Their job is to make sure that all buildings are fit for purpose.
Okay.
And if the buildings aren't fit for purpose, please don't let it be run as commercial
Exactly.
institutes.
Exactly.
Like, that's not our
Why
thing
are
to
you
do.
allowing it? As a government,
And
why
then
are you allowing it?
retroactively come back and say, hey, you guys are doing this without giving us a way out of it, which we tried in 2019, saying, okay, look, the building owner doesn't have an OC. You've taken his property taxes for so long, so clearly the building's legit. give us a way around it where we can comply. I think all of us, I think pretty much everyone in Bangalore wants to be responsible business owners. If you allow people into your business, I think that's 101, which I think we are concerned with more than anyone else.
So this happened between 2005 and 2019.
2019 is I think when it blew up
continues,
again.
It blew up again. I mean, so there have been many
Please.
versions to it, right?
Yeah.
2005 was a blanket no. I mean to say almost everything came to a standstill. No music, no dancing. So almost all the venues, the pubs, everything came to a standstill. I think then a 10 p.m. deadline also was then put forward. So that kind of really killed it. And I think
And you were a student at that time, 2005?
No.
You were
no.
working?
Yeah, we were working.
Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of really shook the whole foundation. I mean to say there was no way you could go anywhere and zero celebrations, and it lasted for a good 2-3 years.
Yeah, it was crazy.
What was it like to be a venue owner at that time? Tell me, do you remember a night like it was nightmare and you went home and said, God knows what I'll do? Do you remember that?
Well, all of that was more towards 2019, but in the early years of Take 5, we didn't face it in that way because it was like a blanket thing.
Yeah.
But we didn't close, we continued. We were a resto bar, so we played great music, and so we were all right. Business-wise, we were okay, but we couldn't, do the live music when all of that
Was
nonsense
that
happened.
was
The
that
thing
a
is,
deal
it
breaker?
kept
No?
lifting. It would lift.
Oh.
It would lift and then it would get imposed again, lift and get
Yeah.
imposed again. It's been happening in Bangalore for donkeys years, way before 2005.
Yeah.
With a Carbon Park bandstand, with the Bangalore music strip. I mean, there was, there's a history of this happening in Bangalore, and each and every time the authorities would come and stop the show.
What happened to musicians? We are not talking about them, but let's talk about them. So, musicians who had a platform, a venue, a space to perform pre 2005, when this was the golden era we are talking about. What happened to them post that?
I mean, I can speak only from the recent years,
Yeah,
that
but
2018, 2019 when we
Yeah,
had
but
to.
maybe back then, what was happening to these young musicians? They were moving out, they were not. What was happening? Do you
A lot
remember?
of them did move out,
Yeah.
and a lot of them just basically changed tracks, which is terrible.
I think the IT boom was in,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everybody
Started
then
working.
started working, getting a 9-to-5 job, because being a musician didn't make any sense in Bangalore at that point.
Couldn't pay your bills.
Do you remember anybody specific who kind of just abandoned the sort of?
Yeah, they went home. Do you know how many people left their different states and came to Bangalore to live because music showed such a promising future for them? They packed up and went home. I personally know musicians who went back to Kerala, went back to Hyderabad. It's really sad.
Roshan, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I mean to say, too many loopholes in the whole system, right? I mean to say, I
So
remember.
you were a witness to all this.
Of
You were not a
course.
venue owner,
No,
right?
no.
So tell me, how were you experiencing all
So
this?
we're still doing tours. We're still working with brands, and Bangalore was shut. I still remember Nikhil was trying to put a staircase from his 3rd floor to down, an external staircase as a fire safety measure. Did you manage to
Yeah,
do
we
it?
did it.
Yeah, that imagine
We
he
had,
had.
we had it all in place.
Yeah.
We had all the required exits. We had the water and all
So
of it.
basically, so it was compliance was an issue. What they did was came down with a heavy-handed
Yeah.
law that sort of extinguished everybody,
They
right?
didn't come down with any law. They just went and enforced.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In existing law, and like with most places, the loophole they would have is if it's a bar, they would have obviously a DJ playing or music playing, and they'd have someone stationed outside, and the minute a cop comes, someone would quickly call and the music would go off. Whereas with Aarti and me, we'd have this live band on stage, and if the cops came in, everyone would be just looking awkwardly, so we couldn't even say we weren't doing music. So when we closed, actually, we closed a day apart, and I think both the fundamental feeling was just relief for both of us. It was a year of just saying, can we even do the gig or not on the day of the gig, which is
How
just
many
too
times
much.
we were told
Yeah.
and how much money we lost. You've flown in a band from Bombay and you tell them after they've arrived, you can't do the show because it was so ad hoc. We would just be told you can't play today. And for about a year, we had a branch in Brookfield.
So why you can't play because you violated a law? Or what was it?
The
Just
building, no? It was like the
Acha.
fire department would come and slap a notice. So then we would send the band to Brookfield to play. The one that if we'd flown in a band from Bombay or
But see,
Delhi
we are
or
not
something,
talking
you know.
about violating compliance, right?
I mean, technically we are, because the building shouldn't be operational as a commercial building without an occupational
okay.
So
certificate.
if you look at our establishment, yes, we had all the required number of exits. We had the staircase. Our establishment was fine, right? What does that matter when the building itself isn't?
Okay.
I think
It was a very difficult situation.
one of the main things for Humming Tree, like why also we've talked about it, was in this new space, we're in a fully compliant building.
Yeah.
And that was one of the check marks to say we're never going into a space which doesn't comply with every single rule possible
Yeah.
now, because in the future something else is going to happen.
Yeah.
And the same thing is going to thing, and then at least we are compliant.
Nikhil was looking at so many different places, and the one thing that we always spoke about was try and get that place, because that place has an OC.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, Nikhil, look wherever you want, but see if you can get that place. You know.
So what were other cities going through? So Bombay had a fire and they came down heavily and it. So tell us about the Bombay scene, Delhi scene, and I remember in Khan Market there was a fire
Yeah.
in some place where it was tragic, right?
Then
So
Bangalore had a
different
fire
cities have
also.
had
Yeah,
their
Bangalore.
challenges. So Bangalore went through this downturn. What about Bombay and Delhi?
I think Bombay is the corporation is much better there. right?
It is quite lenient. I don't know whether the word lenient, but I think
Flexible.
that it was flexible, and Bombay kept going on. It was not like a blanket shutdown the way Bangalore operated. Bangalore, across the board, it was music ban. I think Bombay, Delhi, nothing really happened. Delhi went
Delhi
on
also went through a little bit of it.
a little
but
bit, yeah. But
Bombay has many more licenses that you have to get, I believe.
yeah,
So I think Bombay, you
But it
also
just
they
runs,
give you
you know, it's
those
efficient.
licenses are paramount before you start, which is why it's easier
Yeah.
for them. So they've actually done more checks and balances before they start, which is why it's a better functioning ecosystem.
You're
there.
saying compliance there is easier because of that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It's also structured. Over here, it's a knee-jerk reaction, right?
Yeah.
When something goes wrong is when you start looking at things. And almost every building is violated today in Bangalore in terms of they have put an extra square feet and then you pay a penalty and then you get away with it.
There was total intolerance,
Yeah.
and just because the Humming Tree or bFlat had never received a complaint didn't mean that we could continue surviving. Unfortunately, it was a blanket thing.
Yeah.
At that point, it was really, things had gotten so bad in Indiranagar that it affected everyone, and it was just getting very, very expensive to keep digging our heels in. We did it for the longest time, but it was then becoming really hard to run a business, which is so unfortunate because we were really doing an honest business. One person actually said, see, when you see all these ladies dancing, you get impure thoughts. And that, when you see Bharatanatyam and Mohiniyattam, then you don't get impure thoughts.
Yeah.
What do you say? How do you respond to that? You know?
But I feel, see, we were all talking about our concert economy today, right? And it's booming and stuff like that. I think one mention from PM Modi, he just used the word concert economy.
The orange economy.
And things changed. Delhi is completely now game. I mean to say, we were called to meet the ministry, to come. What else can you do for us? I mean to say, there are changes. I mean,
That's fantastic.
there are changes, and I feel that there is, of course, hope of things getting changed. But I think someone needs to take that stance and say, we're going that direction. And I think everything else will fall in place.
You want to talk about the sort of cost economics of running a festival, and I'm sure you are dealing with a very different set of challenges nevertheless.
Correct.
It's about the large venues. Bangalore is sort of deficient on, right? So give us a sense of what does it take to run a festival like what you do, and since 2015 or 16 that you kicked it off, how have things been for you?
Well, when year one, I still remember our tickets were live and there was demonetization.
Baptism by fire, huh?
So we started with a literal bang. And
So how did you manage that?
yeah, so of course there were lesser turnouts and stuff like that. But overall, the festival economy, especially the kind of festival like Kuhad is, right? It almost we work for more than 6-7 months of production now, and apart from the team which works with us internally.
How big is your team? In-house team and then
Yeah,
set of
we
people?
were around 50, 60
Core
in-house.
team.
Yes, the core.
And for a festival, how many people set of kind of all together work?
Around 2,000.
2,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
To run the show, it takes around 2,000, but with students, communities, artists, all these put together, it's a 500 plus people who work for good 3-4 months to build the festival itself.
Sure.
And running the show takes around 2,000, 2,500 people itself at this point in time.
Okay.
Yeah, so fairly, the economics never made sense when we initially started, right?
What was the ticket price?
When we started, it was hardly some $2,000.
What's the ticket price now?
Today, it's around 6,000.
Okay.
Yeah, so everybody says there's a plan of 3 years, you make or break it. We had demonetization, then we had COVID which came in. So we've been in trouble waters when we started the first 3-4 years. And I think post-COVID is when we actually, the whole...
COVID time you disappeared?
Yeah, COVID time we just sat and worked on concepts and so on and so forth. But what happened post-COVID was quite nice, right? The whole experiential economy kicked in, people wanted to go out, and that kind of gave us that boost immediately after COVID. We had the best year, and from there I think it's been great. But that having said, the model which we operated on is since almost everything goes through this whole channel of reduce, reuse, and repurpose, correct? So it's a big process. It takes almost 6-7 months to go to junkyards, figure out the scrap which you're going to use to produce it, talk to people like CKP and Srishti. Their students, we were part of their curriculum for 2 years, wherein students were asked to build art through waste and stuff like that. So it's a long drawn process. While it takes almost 2.5 more times to produce an Echoes of Earth versus a normal festival of the same size. And yeah, it costs more, it takes more time. So it was always a white elephant to say, but I think post-COVID it kind of rejuvenated itself. We also saw a lot of brand interest, because in the first couple of years, every time we went and said, hey, you want to sponsor this? They said, why don't you go meet our CSR team? Maybe they'll be able to. The brand never thought that they would ever invest.
This was 2016.
Yes, 2016, 17, 18. It was very difficult to get sponsorship as a subject. But later on, I think almost everybody's now marketing tool is sustainability, and 80% of them are greenwashing.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult space. So
But it's a great positioning now that if you look at the thrust on ESG, etc.
Yes.
So are you viable just on the basis of the ticket price?
Yeah, because there's not much you can monetize today, right? I mean to say, the Alcobev is one aspect of it, where you do F&B and food, and then there are tickets and there is merch. There's that much you can monetize today, because the rest, I think it's difficult.
Yeah.
But I think as we go ahead, we're finding more means to monetize. Now, digital being one of the things, because we have a beautiful community which sits with us.
Talk about Humming Tree Part 2, right?
Yeah.
Bangalore has changed. It's been like 6-7 years, 2019 and now.
Yeah.
And yet I think we all have changed. I mean, COVID was a big sort of inflection point.
Yeah.
What has changed about the audience, about the art and craft of it, spaces?
I mean, something that I was a little worried about before we started this one was whether live music still has its place in today's climate. And I think a lot of people had kind of sounded out warning, saying it's not a concert gig economy anymore. It's more electronic music, or it's more packaging of everything put together. So we were a little worried. And in the new space, we've seen about 80% more people coming out for live gigs than for anything which we would have done as a production kind of element to it, which is incredibly heartwarming because that's what we're good at. Yeah. So I think that one thing is, for me, I'd still go to anyone who says, listen, we're worried about culture changing. I think culture has always been there. Culture will never go away. I think you just need spaces that people will always like something good.
Yeah.
And I think
the people have always been there.
Yeah.
People have always wanted to enjoy live music in any form. And there is something for everyone. There are so many different musical tastes, but even with these festivals, there's enough room to have those huge, big commercial branded festivals and to have these beautiful nuclear festivals, you know, which have a vision and which have a meaning, you know.
Yeah. The way you built Humming Tree, and I know when I went there, you were describing it to me. And do you want to describe a little what this new Humming Tree space feels like, and different spaces that you built within it to accommodate all kinds of experiences?
I think the old Humming Tree, while we ran it with a lot of heart and stuff, at the end of the day, it was a third-floor commercial building with 12-feet high ceilings. And one of my key markers with the venue is always the building has to be interesting, the venue has to be interesting. So when we get this standalone building, which was built to be a venue from the start, I think that was such a huge check mark for me. So in this space, we have double height ceilings, you have a mezzanine looking into the stage, it's a big stage, we have 2 green rooms for the artists. All these things, these are also, as venue owners, we should be ticking off, because that translates into artists, you know, feeling like this is taken seriously, art's taken seriously here. And from the customer point of view, obviously, it's great because they're having a great experience. It's a much better space. So I'm thrilled about.
To make it financially viable? What are some of the things you've had to keep in mind to make it financially viable?
That's a tricky conversation. I think we are in our early festival years as a venue right now. So I think we'll get there. I think this is also what you sign up for. Right?
Yeah.
You're signing up for this, which is...
You keep innovating, basically. I think he has a fantastic community which he has built, I'm going to say. And the beauty about the venue, I was there on Friday. There was a main arena, there's a cool-off space, and there's another chill-out space outside. I think it is kind of working like a multi-dimensional venue at this point. I mean, so you're not forced to be there. You could hang out at different pockets depending on how you feel. And that's what this time I really felt great being there.
It's a nice space. We're happy to have it. But just to this point, he came on Friday for a show which was like Psy dub, and it's the Psy community, which is lovely. They're very sweet, actually. I think metal people in the Psy, they get a bad name. They're the sweetest community, actually. So it was this hardcore, real fun party. And the next day, we did something which I don't think anyone's done. Venues came together. So bFlat and Humming Tree came together for a night and said, we'll bring back bFlat into Humming Tree. And she put together a tribute to Carlos Santana. So it went from this Psy gig to this incredible live music setup with, I think there were 10, 12 musicians on stage.
Really.
Wow.
We had about 450, 500 people even for that, and a completely different demographic. So I think that's all the complaints and stuff, stresses, which is what we sign up for, so that's part of it. But then we also have nights like this.
Yeah.
Is the audience very different? And when you say community of Humming Tree, I'm sure that community has changed.
Well,
Today it's very
you know,
different.
his regulars
Talk about
and mine are 6-7 years older.
Yes, that's
to
what I'm
begin
saying.
with.
Yeah.
So what was the average age group for him then are now like earning really well and all that. But there's a lot of loyalty.
Yeah.
Is there a city within India, or how do other cities do it? How do other cities outside of India do it, which could be a learning reference for us to look at as a.
I mean to say, I have, like for example, there are a couple of experiences, right? They look at these kind of music events as part of their culture, you know. They look at.
Is there a city in India which we could reference? Bangalore can learn from?
No.
All of them are like this?
I think the Northeast, to an extent, is a place where you can start this.
That's true. If you look at
Especially-
Luma Jal's festival every year, how he's been doing it for 55 years.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Where does it happen?
In Shillong.
In Shillong. Northeast is one place where the CM plays his guitar on the stage and performs.
Wow, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now that shows the love and the connection between the culture of people and who represents that culture.
Yeah.
I think that's important, right? Especially, I don't think there's any city in India which can proudly say that. Now today we are all talking about one channel window permissions, which the government had introduced, correct? Now those are just, I think, conversations. Nothing really happens. It's the most scariest movement across the board, and I think it's not only with Echoes, with most of
All festivals.
which you
Live
do.
performances.
You're not sure,
Yeah.
and you don't know what's going to trigger.
Give me an example of an international experience that you think probably is good for us to look at
So
aspirationally.
So I was
What happens? Yeah.
I was in Tallinn for the music congregation, right?
Where does it happen?
In Estonia.
Okay.
All right, and the delegation was called in one room, and then was the governor of Tallinn, then I think the ministry of Tallinn, and all of them came on board, and the way they were passionate about music, the way they were passionate about the community, the culture. I mean to say, I was amazed. I was like, just imagine the representation of the government for a music festival, correct? And then later on, when the festival started, the mayor of the city of Estonia was the lead singer in a band. That kind of broke the ice. I was like, how cool is this, right? I mean, so when these kind of things are integral part of your culture and your community, it just becomes easy. Over here, I think.
So Estonia may be a small country, but let's talk about, say, a London or a New York or a
But that's
big
all
city.
just process driven.
It's all
Yeah,
process.
That's it.
It's all a process. I mean to say,
You don't get your approvals one day before, here?
No. I mean to say, your licensing, your permissions, everything is a super process. You have it much in advance, so you're focused on making sure that the festival runs smoothly. You have time to look at safety and security of the place. You have time to make sure the crowd management is taken care. You have time to program the festival. Over here, invariably, till the last minute, you're so stressed. Your entire heart is somewhere else, making sure that I hope I get to open the festival. And after the festival opens, then you're looking into things where are the people safe? Are the cameras been fitted? No matter what you do, it's been this way forever, right?
Basically, you're fighting to do what you do out of the passion of your own heart, but you are totally unsupported. In our country, you're totally unsupported by the authorities. There is one body that I can think of, the ICCR. But even the ICCR that supposedly sends its delegates abroad and they're the representation of our country, and you have so many empaneled artists in the ICCR, there may be thousands and thousands and thousands of empaneled artists, but you've spent a ridiculous number of years trying to get onto the ICCR, and then even once you do, there's a handful that get to go and play anywhere. And you have to be connected, you have to be ideally connected you have to ideally be in Delhi or be connected to someone in India. What is this ridiculous? You don't represent India at all. I have zero faith in our authorities because they do not support the arts. It's hypocritical when they say they support the arts in India. It's totally hypocritical. We know enough, all of us know enough artists languishing that are so fabulous that should be seen. And they don't get a chance. And that is why these small venues are so important in the journey of an artist. Because if you don't get an opportunity to play, how will you ever be able to have a ticketed gig? How will you ever get to your Chaudaya or, Guru Nanak Bhavan or anything if nobody knows who you are? You need to have played enough times that, on ground level, people start to hear you. And then you get better and better at what you do till you finally get that ticketed show.
Timothy Chalamet, that actor, got a lot of grief for saying ballet is a dead art form, and he's saying, and it's exactly that. It's when you have so much AI and everything coming into the world, which are the professions that you can't take over? Live music, live art is something that nothing will ever be taken over by plumbers, electricians. The real,
I would like us to talk about the future definitely and what we can do to change things here. But before that, Nikhil, I wanted to talk about some of the heartbreak moments, some of the difficult part where you felt torn, broken inside, and still do. I mean, it's a new venue that you've built. What's the toughest part?
I think it goes hand in hand. I think anyone who chooses this profession has some level of idiocy built in by default, and then also that heart. So you can't have this passion without also then feeling defeated when certain things don't go like how you feel. And
like what are some of the toughest things
I mean,
that weigh on your
I've
mind?
had heartbreak when I've had a band perform who I think is amazing, and then like 20 people show up for the show. Like that's part of the heartbreak.
It happens often?
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Like you're putting out stuff. Then in a space like this, it's a little harder because it's a bigger enterprise. There's other people involved, so the conversations I could have in the old Humming Tree where I'd be like, no, I'll keep supporting it. Here, the financial conversations are very real. I can't keep doing a band if they're only going to bring in 30 people. So that's probably going to accelerate, and I'll probably have more
You'll have to take some hard decisions. about
harder
it.
conversations.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like that's one part of it. Again, that's kind of built into why we do it, and I think we build certain like guardrails, which I think that's fine. But emotionally, I think and the same thing for an artist. Like for me, I find anyone who gets on stage, who is literally putting the most vulnerable side of them on stage to be consumed by people, fascinating. I like even coming here, like I told you, is a petrifying experience for me. For an artist to go on stage, write music, put it all out, then go out, do it again and again, whether people come or not. So I'm in awe. So in a very micro level of that, as a venue owner, I feel like I'm part of that. Like it breaks my heart when things don't, when you're putting out something good and you don't get that back. I don't think any one of us is doing this for money. I don't think that's the first conversation. And I've seen people who slight things on things where it's like, oh, it's a big space, they probably have lots of money and this and that. It's like,
He's being really honest there.
Yeah.
I recently saw a documentary where the people involved with Ronnie Scott's were being interviewed, and also the Blue Note. And I literally found myself comparing notes to what Nikhil and I have spoken about over the years, which is, it is next to impossible for a live music venue to be profitable. Even Ronnie Scott's and Blue Note said that they were operating on legend, that it's become a brand because the greats had played there.
Yeah.
And the Blue Note guy said, we're surviving today because we're on the tourist map, as also Ronnie Scott's. We're on the tourist map. So like anybody coming from abroad, one of the things we have to do is Statue of Liberty, we have to go and see. Then we have to go and see Tower of London, Blue Note, Ronnie Scott's. It's like that. He said, otherwise we wouldn't ever be able to. And then they do 2 sittings. They do that earlier in the evening one, and then they do the late night one. So the musicians are doing 2 rounds of gigs in one evening. It's really, really hard. It's super, super hard. But people come because of that. Now, who's a bFlat and who's a Humming Tree and what's a Blue Frog compared to Blue Note and Ronnie Scott? So it's really, really hard to sustain. I know in our case, we had that absolutely gorgeous rooftop restaurant, High Note, and I have absolutely zero head for business. My husband told me that it was our restaurant subsidizing me and all of my efforts. Otherwise, we would have had to shut a long time ago.
30% of small venue in England closed last year with government support. And if in England, which is the live beat of live music, they struggle, I think what we've spoken about is part of the process. I think
it is fully part of the process.
Yeah. So we'll switch track and look at the future. What will it take? But before that, tell me, why is this industry important? Why should we nurture this? And why is it of significance to us? You are doing it for passion, maybe it's passion, but let's dive a little, the significance of the music industry, of the clubs, small spaces, and then figure out what will it take. And if you have a wish list for the government, for people, for audience, what would that feel like, look like? And maybe some things that different cities are doing as an experiment, which Bangalore should be looking to. We'll come to that. But first, why is this industry important? Why should we prioritize, give it attention that it deserves? Who wants to go? Go ahead.
I'm first of all reluctant to call it industry. Yeah.
Or whatever. I'm saying
Because
space, sector, whatever you want to call it.
No, I don't want to use any of those kind of words.
Okay.
Maybe this is because I'm seeing it from a different perspective. Like I said, I'm not a business person at all. But it's the arts for me. It's the arts. And arts have never survived down the ages, from the royal darbars and from the time of Mozart and Tansen, without mentorship, right? Those days the royalty supported the arts. So today we need, who's our royalty? It's the government. We need the government to support all of the arts across all genres of the arts, not just regional music and dance and all of that, but everything. Because today, if we want to be recognized as a global entity, accept and acknowledge that Western music and everybody hosting festivals like this or owning venues like this are very, very much a part of that whole system. You have to allow the system to survive. You have to create the ecosystem so that people can make a living out of it, that people can make a living out of being an artist and running the establishment as well. So the government has to set up streamline guidelines and financial support, just the way that they do. Pick up any model from Tallinn to any of the cities in France or Germany or England to understand how governments are supporting the arts. It's all in place. And like he said, you can literally go online and there's a proper, beautiful structure. You know, as a venue owner that did a lot of jazz and blues and a lot of world music, we had the privilege of hosting so many international bands. And I'd have sometimes I'd have the embassies, contacting us. But most of the time, I had bands writing to me. They'd get our email ID and they'd write to me. And I would say, but I can't afford your flights, obviously. Where we ran the entire 12 years without a single sponsor. I mean, I don't even know how we did that. I mean, it's still a mystery to me. But then they would say, our international flights are taken care of. Can you take care of our domestic flights and our hotel stay? And then I'd say, certainly, but I can't do 5-star. But you know, they just wanted to come and play, and they'd say, our government is taking care of our international flights, we'll stay wherever you put us up. So we literally did, serviced apartments and stuff. I couldn't even afford hotels. And then I just had deals with the serviced apartments in Indranagar, and then I would contact venues in other cities, and I would work out tours. And Blue Frog was a big ally those days, and I would contact Hyderabad and Pune and all, and we'd just create Chennai, and we'd create something. We'd figure it out so that it was worth the whole, everybody shared expenses even of flights. Okay, I'm going to do the Delhi-Bombay sector. Can you do the Bombay-Bangalore sector? Like that. You work it out like a network. Everybody works together as a community,
So I'm going to just dive into what I was trying to ask, that why is this sector important, right? I think experiential economy particularly has become important in a digital world, right? Where our life is so much virtual that real world experience has become very important across the world. And especially in a young country like India, young people want that experiential economy, and art, culture, music is part of it. So that's one. Second, I think definitely all cities are figuring out how do they enhance quality of life of the people. So one way is physical infrastructure, right? Roads, drains, garbage, that's one part. But I think soft infrastructure is also very important. And this industry, and I'm saying it industry because we have to acknowledge this industry, it needs support. If it's under the radar, then it's nobody's industry, nobody's baby, right? And this industry needs support, right? Particularly for a city like Bangalore, which is a global tech hub. You have people coming here from across the world, and you have to make their life at work beautiful, but life after work also equally fulfilling, to make this city a more livable city, to be able to attract talent. And some of the best cities, from London to Amsterdam to New York, they're talking about night economy, they are talking about night mayors who are figuring out how to nurture this 24/7 economy. All that, and this is all going in. So you ask some of the big and soft power is the very important power today. For all cities, we are talking about soft power. I mean, we are absorbing so much of Western culture, Western economy, sitcoms, everything. I think India needs to figure it out. Bangalore needs to figure it out.
But I mean, I don't think we're also saying just like Western stuff. I think just in general, art overall has to be.
I'm saying in general, that consumption, that is very, very important. And from all those point of view, and I wanted to sort of bring two things, and then I'm going to ask you and you to sort of talk about why this industry and what are some of the things we could do. Recently, I was in Hyderabad and I was talking to a bureaucrat, very senior bureaucrat, and we were talking about how Hyderabad is a tech hub and stacking it up vis-a-vis Bangalore. And then he said, we've got they've crowdsourced it, but I think he said 130, or think of it like over 100 things that they have identified which they want to do. And these are small interventions, big interventions, to make the city more friendly to talent, to lure talent, to attract top talent.
Which department would he be in? Which department would he be in?
he was Hyderabad is a city. The municipal corporations he was.
So
heading.
he's in the municipal corporation.
He's heading
Heading.
all the
Got it.
municipal. There are 3 municipal corporations. He's heading that. And one thing that he said it's a long list. So he mentioned. I said, give me 2, 3. How to make the city pet friendly? Now think about it. Pet friendly. Who thinks about it?
Yeah.
But young people, for them, pet parenting, pets are important.
It's good.
Second, he spoke about carving out creative districts within the city.
Wow.
There you are.
Okay, and he spoke about that. And the third he spoke about is a 24/7 economy. And he said, we have identified, and this is part of 100 and whatever number, right? So, but I forced him to tell me because he said, it's a work in progress document, I'll share it with you. But these 3 told me they are looking at this from a very different lens. And these are government bureaucrats talking about it, right?
I'm curious, was this a young person?
No, he's not a young person. He's few years away from retirement, by the way. But this is a government thinking about how to make Hyderabad the best tech hub in the country, right?
It's fantastic.
Okay.
I think they got
And
it right.
this is
Yeah.
we've got a tech hub here and tech capital, and Bangalore is a young city, right?
Yeah.
And these are some of the things. And I have to say that when I was meeting one of the commissioners in one of the corporation, newly built corporation in the city, he spoke about, I was asking him what are some of the things he wants to do, and there are many things he wants to do, but he wants to build a park which is pet friendly. And he said more and more people are, he's realizing, and I'm sort of connecting.
Yeah.
Pet friendly park is also a reflection of some of the trends that's shaping us as a society, right? And I think government sort of waking up to these needs, and it's just a sort of proxy for many other changes that's happening around us. But let's just open it up to you guys. On your wish list, what are some of the things we as a city, us as a government, that we should be doing? Go ahead, give your wish list.
I feel we got the concept of infrastructure completely wrong. It's not about building roads, not about building IT parks. It's not about building all these, the new nuances. I think, what do people do after they have done with work, correct? And that's the thought process we need to have. Today, almost public community spaces are missing. Hardly 1% of those parks have been retained, which you are not allowed to go to.
It's closed through the day, right?
Yeah, it's closed to the day. I think the concept of how the future looks like, right? With all of us are now so digitally engaged. We're working 12 hours a day. Where is the outlet for all of us to go? Movies are dead. Malls are gone. They're passé. I think we need basic community spaces. And I think that's the future of any great city, wherein you're able to convert these community spaces.
Nikhil, what's on your wish list?
I think exactly what they both have said. I think when you're talking about dog parks and base cultural conversations of park, I mean, it's so disappointing to be sitting in 2026 in Bangalore and having this conversation like, oh, we should be doing this. This should be 101 of city planning. Like this should be there from ages ago. Like this is not a good thing we're talking about. It's a shame that we're talking about it as a conversation starter. We should have been there a long time ago. So I think 100% utilize the city, base our metrics on things that are unquantifiable, which probably will add, which someone can do an analysis and say it adds to the economy so massively actually. It may be just a one step that you're missing and you're not going that second step, but you understand how much tourism you're bringing in, how many jobs you're creating, how much art you're bringing in, which means more people will come to the city, more people start going on and spending more. It's like that's what's happened with the bigger concerts. The local governments have woken up and saying money is coming in.
Ahmedabad earned, I think, 300 crore plus on Coldplay concerts.
Yeah. So let us do our job,
Yeah.
give us spaces, and we will show you that makes even monetary sense to you.
Expose regional music to the city go, which is very, very important because it's so much a part of independent music and we need to hear more of them.
Yeah.
Like, for example, we are all aware of the fact that there is an underground, full-on underground Kannada rap scene. It's huge.
Yeah.
And I remember hosting one rap evening where we invited people from, and I didn't know enough artists. I knew one big artist from here, Gubbi. I rang up Gubbi and said, you're going to have to help me because I want this to be at all of the South Indian communities. He said, absolutely no problem. And he was the one who explained to me there was this huge movement. I knew about some of the Calcutta guys.
Yeah.
They were really, really talented, and I was following some of them, you know. He helped me invite people all across South India, and we had them, and I didn't have to do anything. And there was no Instagram or anything at that time. There was no, it wasn't, we did Facebook, you know. And the place was full, and they're the most talented, lovely. I said, where have these people come from? He said, no, this is an active but underground.
Oh,
So, you know, they all need to come out of the woodwork
Yeah.
and be given opportunity. So I see busking as a huge way to do this.
Yeah.
But it has to be very well, you know, regimented actually. You know?
I'm going to open up to people. Any of you have questions? Please ask. Go ahead.
Cost economics on $100 for a venue and a festival, please.
You go first.
Wow, all the best.
As honest as you can be.
Sure. After 10 years, of course, the economics looking great right now. If you were to say, if we are profitable, yeah, we are right now without any sponsorship. But from where we started 10 years back to now, the amount of investments have gone in. I'm not only talking about financial investments, right? I'm talking about time.
Yeah.
And the amount of people working relentlessly on putting this together, it yet to show fruits.
He doesn't want to answer
Yeah.
your question.
Because it can.
Nikhil,
But I think it is.
I think
I mean,
that
it's a
was really
nuanced
honest.
question and answer as well, right? Like I think the same thing. From a standard point of view, I think in most F&B spaces which we would come under, you'd say you want an ROI of 3 years or whatever else it is. I think in the old place, we were kind of like okay from day one, never really making a lot of money, but okay. I think we got our money back. I'd say about 3.5, 4 years. Here we'd hoped for an ROI of 3, we're probably looking at 5 maybe. For every 100 that goes in, I'd say we're putting out about 120, 130. So yeah.
Right. One more question.
Sure.
Hopefully there's an easier one. What happened at Palace Grounds really? Why did that stop? That's a story that I've been trying to dig personally, and I've heard so many.
Wasn't it
versions
the
of that.
family and all of them
It's
just...
the legal, like for
Yeah.
example, earlier the ways to work is if you were to sell tickets for a gig in Palace Grounds, you had to go apply for a license, I forget the term, in Vidhan Sauda. And they used
That's a
to...
completely separate thing.
No, any gigs can have for Palace Grounds. However, then since weddings are not paid for, you can do weddings there today, and you can, hence Palace Ground became a wedding venue, right? So any commercial viability of exchange of money and selling liquor is a challenge. I think that kind of was put across with the, I don't know, the Maharani was involved.
That's what it was, the family, and I think it was also the dividing of the property.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, the Maharani's family,
Yeah.
everybody was entitled to their
share.
And I think that there is stuff going on over there.
Yeah,
and
so it's quite complicated.
Do I remember correctly? There was an accident that happened at
The
Palace
Metallica
Ground.
concert.
Yeah.
is
that-
what
There
I've
was
heard
a massive
changed a lot
accident,
of
and
things
that
for
became
folks.
the turning trigger for.
no, this has been going on for a really long
Forever.
time.
So at some point, you
Metallica,
are
was
allowed
there
to.
something
That was the
So I think
inflection point
they
where.
overbooked the venue
Yeah.
by a lot.
Yeah. I
And
heard it
then
was
folks
a.
showed up,
Yeah.
and a lot of folks missed their international flights because they were in hospitals because of the riot, whatever, violence and so on. And then it just became like, hey, don't sell alcohol here, don't do, and if you don't sell alcohol, well, you don't have.
I mean to say, even now a political rally gets 5 lakh people in Palace Grounds.
So, I mean, see, this different rules for different
Yeah.
things. That's the thing. Okay. So,
Yeah, but this is
Yeah.
our quintessential knee-jerk reaction once again.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think the one stadium they allow you to do with the acoustics is best.
The
That indoor
Yeah.
dome kind of a stadium, which is opposite the Manipal,
yeah.
where I remember going for WWF.
Central Bangalore,
Yeah, Central Bangalore. Kandirva Indoor Stadium. I mean to say it's a fantastic venue, but unfortunately it's not for concerts or any kind of music performances, because the shape is such that it echoes and reverbs and stuff. So not conducive.
It was developed during the Asian
Yes.
Games thing, yeah.
echoes of Bangalore.
Okay. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.